The House Committee on Appropriations will come to order. Will the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Whitwer.
Here.
Representatives O'Neill. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morris. Purry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Here.
Menser. Morgan. Price. Skaggs.
Here.
Snyder. Wilson. Leitner. Bolin. Green. Slaw. Beeson. Borton.
Here.
Fink. Cavett.
Present.
DeBoer. Kuhn.
Here.
Schutte. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 29 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Representative O'Neill moves to approve the minutes from our June 27th meeting. There being no objections, the minutes are approved. Today we are changing up the agenda a little bit. We will be doing the LTR, House Bills 4992, 4998, 4999, 5001, 5002, and 5006. There are cards that have been put in for these bills, and I'm going to read them all right now. So, the Michigan Department of Treasury supports House Bill 4992. Northern Michigan University supports 5002H1. Central Michigan University supports 5002H1. EMU supports 5002H1. Western Michigan University supports 5002. Ferris State University supports 5002H1. MTU supports 5002H1. Southeast Michigan Council of Governments supports 4490, 4492, 5006, and 5007. And the Detroit Chamber opposes 4998 through 5007. So today we're going to start with a few department transfer requests awaiting our approval in the legislative transfer request 2023-7. These include transfer requests from MDOC, DHHS, LEO, and DMVA. To give us a quick run through of these transfers, Viola Bay Wild from House Fiscal is here with us.
Morning. So you have in front of you a 23-page document from House Fiscal Agency on transfer 2023-7, as the chair spoke, and these transfers total.
Could you turn your mic on, please?
It is. I'm just not close enough.
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
In this transfer package, the transfers total $208.9 million. $205.8 million are standard transfers, and $3 million are contingency authorizations transfers. And the chair already told us the 4 departments that are involved: Corrections, DHHS, LEO, and MVA. And House Fiscal analysts are here to answer questions on any of these transfers.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members? Seeing no further. Representative Green?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are we dealing with the DHHS transfers at this time?
That's in the package, yes.
Okay. Can you explain inside the child support, what is going on inside the child support and the Child Services Agency, how we are not spending the money there when we are hearing consistently that we need more support in that area?
I can answer that question for you, Representative. So for the child support enforcement transfer, there are about $1.5 million of funds that need to be made into unclaimed property, I believe it is. And instead of asking for a transfer to increase DHHS's general fund authorization, what is happening is that 66% of that 1.5 million in federal authorization is being sent to the disability determinations operations line, and then that same amount in general fund is being put back into the child support enforcement line. So it's a net zero transfer.
And does that include the Sections 105, Child Services Agency, Child Welfare, section, again, I guess it'd be page 10, so that'd be page 9, page 10.
That is to adjust for caseload cost that was anticipated during May CREC. So that's different than the child support enforcement. There are unspent funds from the family preservation line that are now being moved to adoption subsidies to make up for the anticipated over expenditures of that line.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, we'll proceed to approval of the request reflected in this transfer package. Representative Steckloff moves to approve the legislative transfer request 2023-7 as presented. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to approve legislative transfer request 2023-7, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill,
Yes.
Rixey, Hood, Raybeck, Morse, Hurry, Stecklov, Weiss, Mardis, McKinney,
Yes.
Menzer, Morgan, Price, Skaggs,
Yes.
Snyder, Wilson, Leitner, Bolin, Green, Slaw. Sorry, did you say yes? Beeson. Orton. Fink. Cabot. DeVore. Kuhn.
Yes.
Shooty. Steele. No. Madam Chair, you have 18 yeas, 1 nay, 10 pass. The legislative transfer request is approved.
Thank you. Since we already have Viola here, we'll move to the end of the agenda and have her give us an overview of Representative Snyder's House Bill 5006 that amends the Trust Fund Act to eliminate a sunset pertaining to the 21st Century Jobs Trust Fund. Viola, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, so House Bill 5006, do you want me to talk to the proposed substitute H1? Okay, would extend the the authority to, the requirement to deposit $75 million in tobacco settlement revenue that currently is being deposited into the 21st Century Jobs Trust Fund each year. Under current law, that authorization to do that would end in fiscal year '23 this year. This bill would extend that sunset to 2026, so add 3 more years of authority to deposit $75 million into the 21st Century Jobs Trust Fund. And if you want to know what it's spent on, that $75 million is all spent in Leo for these programs listed on the back, job training and things like that, economic development.
Thank you, Viola. Are there any questions? Representative Leitner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the tobacco settlement funds, how many years are left on those, what's the balance of that fund?
Well, what we do is we get an award every year, the state does, and right now in '23, we get $282.2 million. So we get an award every year, all the states in the Master Settlement Agreement get an award, and so we get a new amount every year. And $75 million of it, because of this bill.
Right.
It goes into,
But do we know our amount every single year?
it's
I mean-
going down a little bit, but it's based on tobacco sales, and then it's distributed to all the states who participated.
And under the settlement, how many years, over how many years is, how much money, I guess, basically? Do we know in perpetuity? Obviously, it's not going to be in perpetuity, sorry, his head's right in the way. It's not going to be in it's not going to be in perpetuity, so at what point does, how? I guess I can't even spit it out today, I'm already done.
So you're
How many years are left on the settlement, though? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be continual. It's a settlement.
Just a second here. Here's our economist, tax expert.
Ben Gelchick with the House Fiscal Agency. The settlement does continue in perpetuity with no sunset date on the revenues. It just totally depends on tobacco sales and will continue year after year.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? Seeing no further questions, Representative Snyder moves to adopt substitute H1 to House Bill 5006. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to adopt the H1 substitute, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill, Rixey, Hood, Raybeck, Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Menzer. Morgan. Price.
Yes.
Skaggs.
Yes.
Snyder. Wilson. Leitner.
No.
Bolin.
No.
Green.
No.
Slaw. Beeson. Horton. Fink. Cabot. DeBoer.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Shutey. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 12 nays, no pass. The H1 is adopted.
Thank you. Are there any amendments from members? There being no amendments, Representative Martis moves to report House Bill 5006 with recommendation as substitute H1. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Whitwer.
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Rixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Menzer. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Leitner.
No.
Bolin.
No.
Green. Slaw. Beeson. Horton. Fink. Cabot.
No.
DeBoer.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Shutey. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, no nays, 12 nays, no pass. House Bill 5006 is reported with recommendation as substitute H1.
Thank you. Next, we have Representative Braybeck's House Bill 4992 that amends the City Income Tax Act. We have Ben Gilcheck from House Fiscal Agency here to offer a brief explanation about this bill before we take further action. Ben, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. Ben Gilchick with the House Fiscal Agency. House Bill 4992 is a Department of Treasury implementation bill generally related to the almost $18 million included in the fiscal year 24 budget to expand the state's city income tax collection service system to accommodate additional cities should they elect to enter into an agreement with the Department of Treasury. Generally, the bill would provide new and modified city income tax procedures and expand certain conditions currently only applicable to the city of Detroit to include all cities that enter into an agreement with the department for collection services. Just to highlight a couple of the changes for a city with an agreement with the department, they currently have 30 days, a taxpayer currently has 30 days to file a written protest whereby the party is given an opportunity to be heard and present evidence. The bill would modify this to allow 60 days to file a written request for an informal conference. The bill would also include a specific appeals process following an informal conference, which is substantially similar to current law appeals of an income tax board of review determination. Provisions of the act dealing with the authority to and process liens and levies for taxes due would be expanded to include any city with an agreement and not just the city of Detroit as currently specified in law. And additionally, the bill would authorize an employer that does not do business in or maintain an establishment in a city that has entered into an agreement to voluntarily register to withhold taxes on compensation of employees that are residents of that city. Current law limits this registration to employers and employees who are residents of the city of Detroit. From a fiscal perspective, to the extent that the bill results in any administrative cost changes for the department does have the ability to capture sufficient city income tax revenue pursuant to any agreement with the city. And while the bill amends certain processes to accommodate new cities, there's no requirement for a city to enter into an agreement. That is entirely permissive. Local units currently have the ability to enter into an agreement with the Department of Treasury for tax collection services. And as noted earlier, there was just under $18 million general fund appropriated in DTMB to enhance the city income tax system to better accommodate any additional cities should they elect to enter into an agreement with the department.
Thank you, Ben. We do have a question. Representative Bolin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ben. So currently, the state only collects city income tax for the city of Detroit, and there's hopes to expand it, I think, in next year's budget, potentially as a big upgrade to the system.
Correct, yeah.
And so this would apply to any additional cities that currently assess an income tax that came into the state's collection process?
Correct. Many of these changes are there to accommodate that process, yeah.
Okay, and I have a concern about this, the penalty fee. If you could explain a protest, which seems to me reasonable, that somebody who feels aggrieved by their tax can come forward, but if the protest is deemed frivolous, and the penalty is $25 or 25% of the disputed amount on the tax. So can you tell me how this formula applies to other penalty fees that we have in the state? And who determines if it's frivolous?
To your first question, I'm not sure that I can answer that as far as like comparing it to other fees that we have in the state writ large. I don't know. I mean, the $25 or the 25% did exist in statute. It does exist in current law for appeals that were deemed frivolous. This sort of makes sure that it happens for those cities with an agreement and those cities without an agreement.
Okay, well, I can
And as-
appreciate that
as-
maybe it's in current law, like this is before us, it is an opportunity to, I think,
Sure.
correct something.
Yeah.
And to me, do we have an idea of, can we get the number of what the average tax is that potentially somebody could dispute?
I can certainly ask the question. I don't
mean,
know
the
off the top of my
$1,000
head. I don't know if
different
representatives from
than-
the Department of Treasury here are, if Department of Treasury here is to help answer that. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'm happy to look into that for you.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much.
Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing no further questions, Representative Braybeck moves to adopt substitute H1 to House Bill 4992. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to adopt the H1 substitute, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill, Brixey, Hood, Braybeck, Morse, Curry, Steckloff, Weiss, Martis, McKinney,
Yes.
Menser, Morgan, Price, Skaggs, Snyder, Wilson, Lightner, Bolin, Green, Slaw, Beeson, Borton, Fink, Cavett,
No.
DeBoer,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Shudi, Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 12 nays, no pass. The H1 is adopted.
Thank you. Are there any amendments from members? There being no further amendments, will the clerk please, I don't see it. Sorry about that. There being no further amendments, House Bill 4992 will be reported with recommendation as substitute H1 and is motion by Rep. Wilson. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to report House Bill 4992 as substitute H1, Chair Whitwer.
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Menser. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Lightner. Bolin. Green. Slaw. Beeson. Borton. Fink. Cavett. DeBoer.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Shudi. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 12 nays, no pass. House Bill 4992 is reported with recommendation as substitute H1.
Thank you. We'll keep Ben here to brief us on our next bill. Representative Rogers, House Bill 5002, that makes a one-time UAAL adjustment following the higher ed MIPSers paydown featured in the fiscal year 24 budget.
House Bill 5002 is also a budget implementation bill associated with fiscal year 24 budget that would amend the Public School Employees Retirement Act to revise the unfunded actuarial accrued liability contribution for a university based on the $200 million deposit in fiscal year 23 to reduce the UAL for the 7 universities participating in MIPSers. The bill would also revise the payroll growth assumption for a non-university reporting unit, mainly K-12 districts, to reflect the 50 basis point accelerated reduction funded in the fiscal year 24 budget. As far as the UAL contribution, the bill is expected to lower MIPSers UAL contributions by an estimated $18.9 million for the 7 universities. You can see on page 2, table 1, sort of shows the individual university expected savings for fiscal year 24. These savings represent additional savings over and above those realized by universities due to the $300 million deposit in the fiscal year 23 budget. For the payroll growth assumption, the 50 basis point acceleration in the payroll growth assumption to 0.75% under the bill would increase baseline costs by an estimated $91 million in fiscal year 24. Those costs are baseline costs, and they would increase into future years. This would accelerate the move to level dollar amortization by 1 year, and that is shown in Table 2. You can see that we would reach level dollar in fiscal year '26 as opposed to fiscal year '27.
Thank you. We do have a question. Representative Green?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. What I'm looking at is saying that it would remove the requirement to make payment of specific amount in fiscal years beyond 23, 24 as well. So the plan and goal is that we deposited, wiped out the MIPSR's debt. When the economy and market does its 20-year correction, and then MIPSR's is to get underfunded, will these, under this law, will these institutions be required to make up that debt?
Yeah, it is my understanding in discussions with ORS that, any new UAL that develops due to missed assumptions, they would be responsible for making a payment. This does establish a funding floor, so they couldn't go below whatever was established in fiscal year '24, but any new UAL would be due and payable.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing no further questions, Representative Steckloff moves to adopt substitute H1 to House Bill 5002. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to adopt the H1 substitute, Chair Whitwer.
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Menser. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Leitner.
Pass.
Bolin. Green. Slaw. Beeson. Borton. Fink. Cabot.
Pass.
DeBoer.
Pass.
Kuhn.
Pass.
Shooty.
Pass.
Steele. No. Madam Chair, you have 18 yeas, 1 nay, 10 pass. The H1 is adopted.
Thank you. Are there any amendments? Seeing no amendments, Representative Weiss moves to report House Bill 5002 with recommendation as substitute H1. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Whitwer.
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Menser. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Leitner.
Pass.
Bolin.
Pass.
Green. Slaw.
Yes.
Beeson.
Pass.
Borton.
Pass.
Fink.
Pass.
Cabot.
Pass.
DeBoer.
Pass.
Kuhn.
Pass.
Shooty.
Pass.
Steele. Madam Chair, you have 18 yeas, 1 nay, 10 passes. House Bill 5002 is reported with recommendation as substitute H1.
Thank you. We'll move on to a few bills sponsored by Representative Menser that change the Grain Dealers Act by extending temporary permit timelines, starting with House Bill 4998. Bill from House Fiscal Agency is here to give us a summary of this bill.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm William Hamilton from the House Fiscal Agency, and I'll take both bills together. In my analysis, House Bill 4998 and 4999 amend the Grain Dealers Act. The Grain Dealers Act was enacted in 1939 in response to grain elevator bankruptcies during the Great Depression or the period preceding the Great Depression. When grain elevators go bankrupt, farmers or producers may not be paid and may not be able to recover the grain that they have on deposit. So the Grain Dealers Act establishes a licensing and regulatory program administered by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. The bill would extend the time available to process the license from not more than 30 days to not more than 60 days. Each bill amends a separate section of the act, but they both deal with the tolling of the time taken to process applications. And the department has indicated that this has to do with the time needed to receive financial statements from the applicants. The CPAs processing financial statements and submitting them to the department. These financial reporting requirements were added in 2016 by amendment to the Act, Public Act 264 of 2016. And there's no direct fiscal impact on the department or on local units of government.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No? Seeing no further questions. I don't have that here either. It's 4998, right? Okay, seeing no further questions, Representative Morse moves to report House Bill 4998 with recommendation. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Yes. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Munzer. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Lightner. Bolin. Green. Slaw. Beeson. Vorton. Fink. Cabot. DeBoer.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Shudi. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 12 nays, no pass. House Bill 4998 is reported with recommendation.
Thank you. We'll go on now to House Bill 4999, the second Representative Menser bill that will be amending the Grain Dealers Act. Bill Hamilton can now provide a summary for us.
The second bill is related to the first bill, and again, it simply extends the time the department has to process applications, and it's related to the financial statement requirement. Again, the second bill has no direct fiscal impact on the state of Michigan or on local units of government.
We do have a question. Representative Bolin?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. So it has no fiscal impact. To those people trying to obtain a license, it does have an impact when you're extending the time frame, does it not?
Yes, and as I understand it, though, it's the time, the extended time needed to process these applications is not a function of MDARD's ability to process the application. It's, as I understand it, it's the time needed to obtain a certified financial statement from the applicant. The requirement for a CPA certified statement was added in 2016, and apparently that's the source of a delay in receiving the application. Now, the department's here, I mean, if there's an additional level of detail, that's the extent of my knowledge of the program. If there's additional detail, we'd have to ask the department. But that's my understanding, that the time needed is due to receiving a private CPA certified audit or financial statement.
Okay, so my question is prompted because I would hate to see that the state is placing our businesses in jeopardy by extending a licensing time. So if it's a matter of timing and somebody has an incomplete application or renewal is different, it's not complete, but is it also something that needs to be adjusted in the timing of when you apply for this license and when you can get an audited financial statement? Like, is the timing off? So your fiscal year ends, December, and your licensing renewal has to be submitted in October, but you don't have your audited statement till after your complete year.
So for that question, we would have to consult the department. I mean, I don't think I know the program at that level of detail.
Okay, thank you. In that case, I do think it's premature to be taking a vote on something that potentially could impact businesses greatly. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? With no other questions, Representative McKinney moves to report House Bill 4999 with recommendation. Will the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill. Brixey. Hood. Braybeck. Morse. Curry. Steckloff. Weiss. Martis. McKinney.
Yes.
Munzer. Morgan. Price. Skaggs. Snyder. Wilson. Lightner. Bolin. Green. Slaw. Beeson. Horton. Fink. Cabot. DeBoer.
No.
Kuhn.
No.
Shudi. Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 12 nays, no pass. House Bill 4999 is reported with recommendation.
Thank you. The last bill we'll take up today is House Bill 5001, sponsored by Representative Puri, that amends the Farm Produce Act to adjust the per diem and mileage reimbursement for members of the Farm Produce Insurance Authority. Bill can give us one more overview of House Bill 5001.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The bill amends the Farm Produce Insurance Act. This is an act that was created in 2003, and it's related in some sense to the Grain Dealers Act. It deals with the same issue of grain elevators and producers being able to be reimbursed in case of the failure of the grain elevator. The Farm Produce Insurance Act establishes a insurance authority and an insurance system similar to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation does with banks and financial institutions. And what the bill does is provide for a per diem of the board members serving on the authority. There are 8 board members eligible for reimbursement. This would provide a up to $75 per diem reimbursement for attending meetings. There are 2 meetings a year. So this would have obviously a minimal fiscal impact on the state, and no impact on local units of government. The bill is needed because the current law references the per diem of the State Commission on Agriculture and Rural Development, and they currently receive no per diems. So in order to establish a per diem for this authority, the bill provides for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing no further questions, Representative Martis moves to report House Bill 5001 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Whitwer,
Yes.
Representatives O'Neill, Brixey, Hood, Raybeck, Morse, Curry, Steckloff, Weiss, Martis, McKinney, Menser, Morgan, Price, Skaggs, Snyder, Wilson, Leitner, Bolin, Green, Slaw, Beeson, Horton, Fink, Cabot, DeBoer, Kuhn, Shooty, Steele. Madam Chair, you have 17 yeas, 10 nays, 1 pass. House Bill 5001 is reported with recommendation.
Thank you. Those are all the bills that we'll be taking up today. Seeing no further business, the House Appropriations Committee stands adjourned.